Really hiring people with disabilities right now is the last frontier. It's the final frontier in corporate employment.
The number one thing that somebody with a disability has to do when they interview for a job is to break down that stereotype.
And I believe that everybody is judged and sized up when they walk into an interview. But that puts someone with a visible disability, gives them a disadvantage, a hindrance right away. They lose points right off the bat.
I think that's an additional challenge, because if you meet someone with no experience with disability, it really adds another barrier that you have to overcome.
People make prejudgments as to what you're able to do, and so that kind of puts a veil on what they think about you. So you have to really sell yourself to people and make them comfortable so that they're able to see beyond your disability.
The June report showed people with disabilities who are actively looking for work at about double the unemployment rate of the general population, about 17%. But actually that number significantly understates the true amount, because it only takes into account people actively looking for work. If you were to look at people with disabilities and assume that they would look for work at the same rate as non-disabled people, that unemployment rate is higher than 70%. So the numbers are really dismal.
Meet Adam Kaplan, the founder of Big Tent Jobs, a Michigan-based recruiting agency which places ready-to-work people with disabilities in positions at leading companies and organizations.
I've been thinking about this for a very long time. I've worked in corporate America for 15 years and have worked with people with disabilities, have hired people with disabilities, and for a long time I've really wanted to give back, and I'm dismayed by the employment statistics, as are many people, and I know that we can do better, and wanted to be a leader and take the initiative in doing so. We're a recruitment company, third-party recruiters, so we work with leading companies, initially here in Michigan, but hopefully soon nationwide, to hire talented individuals with disabilities. So we focus on people who are college educated and have skills to give back to companies and contribute to companies based on some of the needs that they have. Well, the idea of a big tent is focusing really on inclusion. You know, our tagline is inclusion at work. And the idea of a big tent is that all of our organizations should really encompass all kinds of people. There is a strong business case to be made for hiring individuals with disabilities. Individuals with disabilities, by some measures, are a $250 billion or more market for products and services. So certainly companies that want to tap into, that's a very large market, and many companies want to tap into that. Also, for businesses that do work with the federal government, there are some requirements and even some affirmative action steps that these organizations need to take, and obviously there are many businesses that fall into that category.
I think that I've been granted a peephole into a world and certain understandings that maybe other people haven't gotten to yet at my age. And I think that can benefit a lot of different organizations, businesses, and I think that sometimes they need to think that when I enter a room.
No matter how I've tried to break down people's stereotypes about me, they still would rather, hire sometimes somebody who's able-bodied.
Meet Chris Beatty. He graduated from the University of Michigan with a degree in nuclear engineering. He also holds an associate degree from Washtenaw Community College.
obviously I have a speech impediment, and I think oftentimes when people hear my speech, they make a lot of assumptions, and I think that's the number one thing in an interview, as well as over the phone. So, for me, it's important to maybe make a joke or, problem. I will repeat myself or something that makes them feel comfortable with me.
Chris is not currently working in his field, but his creative genius is hard at work.
I remember when I was a kid, it's hard for me to cut my nails, and my grandpa and I we went out into the shop and we invented a tool to help me cut my nails by myself. I'm developing a virtual keyboard for an Android tablet. And what's neat about it is the keys will come to you rather than you come to the keys.
Very cool, Chris. So why isn't this guy in charge of his own research lab? I wonder if it has something to do with preconceived notions about people with disabilities in the workplace.
I'm afraid to hire persons with disabilities because they are a protected class under the ADA, and if it doesn't work out, they can't be fired.
It's absolutely not true. People with disabilities are employees just like anyone else. We encourage our companies, we would encourage all companies, whether their employees have disabilities or not, to maintain good records and good practices. And if someone with a disability is not doing the job, and if that person has been fully accommodated to do the job up front, then there's no justification. They can be let go just like anyone else.
Our company can't afford a lot of expensive accommodations for an employee with disabilities.
It's another false one. Accommodations on average cost about $500. About half of accommodations don't even cost anything.
Then, if possible, take examples of equipment that you would use to make your job, to make it easier for you to do your job. Because employers are going to wonder, like, if you're applying for a secretarial job, how are you going to do your job? Well, if I could show the equipment, then they're more easier to understand and willing to accept, oh yeah, you're able to do this. So I tell them, you bring up the fact that you're blind, explain to them you don't have to tell them what happened, but just, I'm blind and let me show you how I do my job. And if you have the equipment available, show them how you do your job.
If I hire a person with a disability and I don't do everything they ask, they'll sue me.
I think there's a myth out there that people with disabilities would be litigious, would use their position to sue. Actually, the studies show that that's, again, a complete myth. Compared to other groups and lawsuits initiated by other groups through the EEOC, actually the number of lawsuits initiated by people with disabilities is lower than some of the other protected classes.
Accommodation means always agreeing with the person with a disability, even if they're wrong.
I think both of the accommodation are social. Like, if they don't understand me, it's okay to ask me to repeat myself. And it's also okay to tell me that they disagree with my opinion. I'm a human too, and I might not always be right, it's okay to disagree with me, and that is kind of another failure.
Here are some words of wisdom for job seekers.
To make sure that you're prepared. Don't ever go to a job, apply for a job if you're not prepared, because you're gonna have to be really more competent, I would say, than the average person.
There is an untapped talent pool of qualified people. Companies today are looking for talent. They'll always be looking for talent. And there is just in the same way that a company shouldn't restrict itself to any particular gender or any particular race or sexual orientation, it shouldn't restrict itself to just people who aren't defined as having a disability. This is 1/5 of our population. There's no good business case to be made for keeping 20% of the marketplace out of your recruitment efforts.